Welcome to Awake and Aware. I am Nick Angel, and it is Sunday, February 7th, and that was a blowout. TB playing in TB, that makes him the GOAT. I don't think we can argue about it anymore. I believe Tom Brady is now considered the GOAT when it comes to football. Him and Gronkowski broke a record that was held by Steve Young and Jerry Rice, Joe Montana and Jerry Rice, to the most Super Bowl connections. And those are my two teams. Were my two teams. I guess Tom Brady doesn't pay for the Patriots anymore. I guess some people are going to be talking about them penalties in the first quarter. They may have set the stage of the game, and a lot of people have said that the refs tend to put penalties in the going the way of Tom Brady, and apparently they definitely did tonight too. There were definitely some penalties going on, but there were also some questionable calls, whether or not those balls could have been caught or not. So we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about the Super Bowl. We're going to talk about the winning mindset. We're going to try to talk about some of the mindset of Tom Brady. Because what the heck? He's the most winning Super Bowl. That guy's been to 10 Super Bowls and won 7 out of 10 Super Bowls. I don't care what you say about the guy. I don't care about his personality off the field. Plain and simple, he's a winner. Period. And I'm not going to say that you don't have to step on a few people to get there or did some unscrupulous whatever. It doesn't matter. We're just talking about the fact that he is a winner, and he is the most winningest Super Bowl quarterback, winningest football quarterback of all times. Period. That makes him the GOAT. That's what that means. The GOAT, for you guys I know many people don't know. The GOAT means greatest of all times. GOAT. Period. Can't argue it. All right, guys. Again, I'm Nick Angel, and thanks for joining me. And I'm going to roll this intro, and I'll be right back in just a second. Wake up. I'm up. Wow, what a game, right? So I'm pretty blown away by that game, as I would imagine most people are, because it was kind of a blowout, and we were expecting, back and forth, because it's probably the two best quarterbacks we've seen in the league ever, right? Playoff in a quarterback. So listen, I may say some things that may not be 100% right, because guess what? I don't watch a lot of football, but I did watch that, being that I was a Tom Brady fan for the most of my life, and I liked watching that young guy on the other side, the way he's played and been a person to watch the last couple of years, and so to defend their championship, but to come up short, most people often. Winning Super Bowl champs don't come back, and I think they said the last time there's a repeat champion was in 02 and 03, and I believe that was the Patriots. So, and Tom Brady and the Patriots. So it's not a common thing. So how is it that somebody is more winning than everybody else in a team sport? And he's done it on two teams now. So, nobody can say that it was Belichick and his coaching and cheating, the Patriots cheating and watching plays, ultimately. But the asterisk now is those penalties in the first quarter and how they definitely set the stage. And the Bucks were up before the penalties. So anyhow, this is not a Super Bowl show. It's not a football show, and it's not a sports show. But I would say that was probably the most watched Super Bowl of all times. Let's not even talk about that halftime show, because man, that was I like, and you know what? I think the consensus is equal across everybody. I love The Weeknd. He's a great guy, and I like his music. But was he ready, set, had the caliber, enough in his catalog to carry the Super Bowl? I mean, I've seen superstars come out and still have somebody else to back them up because their catalog wasn't so big. So how did they think he was going to carry the show himself? I think it's because of the pandemic. They just decided that they weren't going to do. But they put 100 plus people out on the field. I was surprised, even though they had masks on and they were pushing the whole, theme that the Weeknd had started a couple months ago when he dropped his new album, wearing the bandage mask. But I'm going to go out on a limb and say that was the worst halftime show I've ever seen in my life. Period. It was non-existent. And even the dancers were just abysmal. Like, they were out of sync. There's too many of them, and it just didn't come across. So whoever they had for a choreographer, fire them. Whoever put the production on, fire them. And let's not bring the Weeknd back for the Super Bowl until he's, got a couple more number one albums or something. Because anyway. All right. So your thoughts. Remember, I can read if you guys drop some notes in there. If you got thoughts about the game, if you got thoughts about what I'm talking about. First off, man, I'm glad to be back. I missed you guys last weekend. I had some internet problems in my house where the internet just kept going in and out. I don't think it had anything to do with the weather because it started the day before it started snowing. But we got it resolved, and it's still snowing here. Like, we got less than a foot last week. And we got a few more inches today. So it's been snowing all day. So if you're up in the Northeast, stay warm because it's chilly outside. All right. So today's topic is about the winning mindset, and what a winning mindset is. Is it born? Are you born with it? Is it only natural leaders? Is it, a dominant gene? Is it having more testosterone? Is it a blueprint that other people can follow? Does it come from genetics? Is it just your nature nurture? So what is it? Where does it come from? So that's what we're talking about on today's show. It's not going to be a very long show. I'm going to go down a list of things. Because I figured this would be like right on, especially if Tom Brady just won the Super Bowl, because that guy's got a winning mindset. And we're going to take a look at some of the things that he does to prepare himself, to set himself. Because look, he's not I shouldn't say he's not the most athletic guy, considering he's an athlete and he's the most winningest athlete. But I mean, he's not bench pressing 300 plus pounds. He's not the fastest runner. He's not the most agile guy. And he can't throw the ball the farthest. And here's the funniest thing is most of his career, he's not been the most accurate passer. But he makes more completions than other people. And I think it's because he's a whole package. And I think it's also what he does off the field that makes a big difference for him. Because one of the funniest things is when looking at Tom Brady and the New England Patriots and their couple dynasties, they never really had a stacked roster. So they were low in salary cap every year, and they would bring back old players who knew the game well. They brought back winners from other teams and would put them on their team, and like Junior Seau and Randy Moss and, people of that nature who were, bringing back Gronkowski, et cetera, over and over again. What he did is he surrounded himself with other winners, and they all had great work ethic and they all worked cohesively as a team. And he's also a captain, and, what a great role model for sports athletes and what it is on field. Now, again, I can't speak for any of the stuff that he does off the field, but what a great role model for the definition of what it is to be a winner on the field. And what I mean by that is because Tom does stuff that the average person does not. He goes to bed really early, really early. He's usually, from what I understand, he's usually in bed. He's in bed before 10 o'clock. It's usually at around 8:30 he's in bed. And one of the things he does, one of the main things that Tom Brady does that other people don't do is he doesn't sleep with his phone. His phone's not even allowed in his room. Him and his wife remove all their electronic devices from their bedroom. They don't have a television in their bedroom, and they also don't keep electronic devices, so he gets some wonderful sleep. So I'm going to take a scientific approach to this. In the show links, I'll put where some of the research came in and some of the stuff that I talk about for this winner mindset. But these are some of the traits that winning people have, just based off of studies that have done research on traits that people have that are winners. And winners are people who are highly successful, billionaires, people who are winning like Tom Brady or other athletes, not just make it to the NFL, but the winning people in the NFL, because a lot of people make it to the NFL, but a lot of people aren't also winners on top of that. So there's just some of those traits. So let's just take a look at some of them. So the first one that I've got is that successful people embrace failure. And so like it seems counterintuitive, except most hardworking people also tell you that the way that they learned and gained experience and wisdom through all the things that they do is from failures and learning from their mistakes. The people who tend to beat themselves up and get upset after their mistakes, like there was a great example of that in the Super Bowl today, where a guy named Matthew had got a penalty, and it was a holding penalty, and it really turned the game around, and he was really upset. And right afterwards, he got up in Tom Brady's face and got a unsportsmanlike flag, which also was a penalty that gave them an additional 15 yards. Now that 15 yards didn't take a play into the room, but what happened was that guy was really upset going into the half and took that into the locker room. And I promise you that influenced the rest of his team. The rest of his team, and there was a couple other people, they were all upset about the penalties. They didn't come back focused. Because they didn't learn from, listen, I'm not just going to keep harping on those penalties or even that game. But some of those penalties happened. They were clear. We saw them. Now is whether or not they could have been not called. Sure. Or if they seemed like that they were definitely siding with the Bucs. Probably. But they didn't get it. But see, that's the thing is Kansas City didn't get up and dust themselves off and get back up and play great. They just kept going downhill afterwards. That's why they barely scored anymore. So it doesn't seem like to me that they were embracing that and learning from it. Like, what can we do? Like, let's not cause any more penalties. Let's just keep it moving. We can keep up with them. We can actually outscore them. We have one of the best offenses. We believe our quarterback's better than theirs. They didn't do any of that. They just kind of got caught up in the hype. It was like, oh yeah, Tom Brady always gets calls always go in his favor, and they took themselves and got bent out of shape. You could see 3 or 4 players going in the locker room were upset and yelling and screaming at refs and coaches and stuff. And I would say that would be a key to not having embraced what had happened and got up and moved on. There's a really good analogy for this. I've used it before on the show, so if you guys have heard it, great. I want to stop for just a second, and I want to just point out that my computer is plugged in tonight. So those of you guys who regularly join me know that that's kind of a thing. So anyway, so I won't be jumping up to plug in my computer. But the so and again, this will be on podcast, this will be on YouTube. And so successful people embracing failure, they definitely didn't do that. One of the things in nature is what we call the king of the jungle, probably one of the most successful hunters on the planet are lions. One of the things about lions is if lions don't eat within 2 days, it's 2 days, they don't have enough energy to then get up and hunt again. And actually, it's not 2 days, it's 4 days. If a lion doesn't successfully get a kill within 4 days, they usually die because they don't have enough energy to hunt again, unless they're involved in a pack where other lions can help them hunt down food. That's it. So a solo lion pretty much dies after 4 days. So if a lion gets up and goes and tries to hunt down a gazelle and he misses, which happens quite often, if he were to then act like a human being and just go crawl into bed and be like, man, I missed that. I'm such a scrub. And I had that opportunity. I was right there, almost had him. And this other gazelle bumped me and knocked me out of the way and starts making excuses and whatnot. He's going to die, or his kids aren't going to eat, or her kids aren't going to eat. Well, maybe it's a lioness, right? So what he has to do is brush it right off and get back and be like, I'm a lion. I can catch gazelles all day long and keep going after another one, or go catch something else, or whatever is there, and has to keep doing that to survive and to be at the top of the food chain. Sounds like got to embrace your failures. And that's what successful people do. That's the number one trait of successful people. It's not the one I would have guessed, but remember, this is science-based. I'll drop the link later on. All right, so the number 2 trait is they say no to self-doubt. I'm big on this. So I'm big on pushing a book called The 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz, which has 4 different agreements that we make with ourselves and our subconscious and our dream state and our dream world and the reality that we live in. And it says that we make up our own reality by the agreements that we make with ourselves. And so it gives 4 agreements that change your perspective for personal peace and how we interact with the inner world. And I think number 1 is always be impeccable with your word. And I am very big into not people who self-deprecate. I'm big into not allowing them to self-deprecate. Or I shouldn't say allow them, but offering them encouragement on ways to change that. Because I've seen how detrimental it really is to a person who says, oh man, I'm not good enough, or I can't do that. Or when people say those things, their subconscious believes it and makes that their reality. So the first thing you got to do is start believing that you can do better. You've heard of affirmations. If you don't know what an affirmation is, it's basically you talking to your subconscious to program it to believe that you're good enough, better than, or in a state that you want to be in. Like you'd rather have good habits than bad habits, or that you're a winner. You can tell yourself over and over again that you're a winner, and guess what? Your subconscious mind will take hold to that, because your subconscious mind is programmable by your words, actions, and thoughts that you predominantly do, or your habits, right? The things that you do most subconsciously train you. So I know people who have the habit of saying sorry all the time. Oh, sorry. And even when they don't even do anything wrong, but they're programming themselves to be sorry by continuously telling they're sorry. So they find themselves to be in states where they often will knock somebody's drink over. Oh, sorry. Or, oh, I forgot to get you that. Sorry. Or I didn't do this. Sorry. And those things have an effect and build up on that person over time. And sometimes it's instantaneous. Sometimes it doesn't even take a long period of time. So if you can, you have to create new habits to replace old habits, to encourage yourself, to build yourself up, to make yourself, to build your self-esteem, rather than build your doubt, worry, and feel like you have less than, or that you have lack. So some people feel that it's a little hokey to tell yourself that I am worthy, or I am successful, or I'm a winner. But the thing is if you're not telling yourself anything in the form of an affirmation, the only thing your subconscious has to listen to is your behaviors. So if your behaviors aren't up to par or up to snuff to say that you're a winner, or to say that you're successful, or to say that you're capable, well, then what would make you expect to be successful, capable, or a winner? So again, scientifically proven that winners talk in a way, not just talk in a way, but they believe in a way that they are winners as well. Period. So you've probably heard the thing called fake it till you make it. Well, some people, instead of fake it till you make it, I like believe it till you achieve it, right? And so when you take on a mindset that, say you're in a down state, say you're Say you've been in a depressed state. Say COVID's got, maybe you lost your job over COVID. I don't like to put out these negative situations. So first I'm going to say cancel clear, and that these aren't affecting you by me saying these and you listening to me. These are just scenarios that you can overcome. And if you find yourself in any of these states, there are definitely ways to overcome them. And one of the easy ways to do it is to start programming your subconscious, because your subconscious is filling in all the blanks. Your subconscious is working for you when you're not working. Like, you ever driven home and not paid attention, but you just got home, like you were zoned out thinking about something at work over the week, and the next thing you know, you're home. Your subconscious drove you home, right? But your subconscious is capable of doing millions of processes, where your active consciousness is like the equivalent of an 8-bit computer, which is like a Nintendo, right? So let's put the big computer to do the good stuff and just not worry about this 8-bit thing. Your ego, your conscious, not your consciousness, but your conscious. So let's see. Then we got, so moving on. There is no one thing. So scientifically, there is not one particular thing that sets people aside. It's not having bigger calves. It's not having bigger biceps. It's not having an higher IQ. It's not having a father who was genetically superior. It's a lot of different things, but there's no one thing that sets aside a winner. There's no, we can't look at the top 10 quarterbacks and say, well, all of them had superhuman arm strength, or all of them were faster runners, or went to this particular school. There's no one thing. It's a lot of things that go into building up to being the winner mindset, to create the mindset of a winner. It's multiple things. All right. And so then, successful people are accountable. Well, to be accountable, that means that you are open to feedback, right? That means that you are open to data. That means you're, if you put money on the stock exchange and you say, you know what, I'm a winner, everything I do wins, and then you just turn around and leave, that doesn't mean that your stock bets are going to win. You need to check the stocks to make sure they're going, because if they're falling past your limits, well, then you need to sell to cut your losses. But if you're not, then you could lose a lot of money. So it's important that people hold themselves accountable. There's a whole bunch of ways to do this, but the most successful people hold themselves accountable. And that means if they did poorly, again, they don't beat themselves up, no self-doubt. They may just realize they have to work harder. I'll tell you, somebody who did that was Muhammad Ali. It was a guy who fought people bigger than him, stronger than him. He was almost always the underdog in almost every fight he ever fought in, even though he was the champ numerous times, and considered the greatest boxer of all times, while he was alive. But he had to train. He knew that he had to train differently. He had to institute the rope-a-dope. He out-cardioed almost every person he ever fought. He jumped more rope, and he ran harder, and he trained harder. And he did that because he didn't win every fight that he ever fought in. He knew they had to come back and do something different, and he did. Many fighters do that. Many fighters who pass the time of longevity have to I don't want to say reinvent themselves, but they definitely have to learn from their mistakes. They have to learn they embraced it. All the things ahead of us, 1, 2, and 3, led up to making sure that they were accountable. All right, let's see. Number 5, stop trying to be perfect. Say what? Who tries to be perfect? This guy. No, I'm kidding. I am absolutely not perfect, other than being perfect at not being perfect. Anyway, so winning people don't try to be perfect. Now, I remember this guy named Mr. Perfect in the WWE or the WWF when I was a kid. I used to love him. He used to always make all the trick shots and could do weird things with a basketball. And from what I understand is when they filmed him, like he was that guy, like he was like, there's that show called Dude Perfect, where people make trick shots from, like just one of those people who can always land the shot or make the weird shot. Is that guy perfect? Does that guy try to be perfect? Maybe, but they also don't play in the NFL. They don't play. So they might make trick golf shots, but guess what? They don't play in the PGA. So they don't make money doing that. The guys throwing the basketball, guess what? They can't play in the NBA. So maybe they're good for entertainment, but Michael Jordan never strived to be perfect. Michael Jordan strived to be the best. And he'll tell you, he's even got a documentary. He says, I outpracticed everybody. Michael Jordan didn't make his JV varsity team, and wasn't a starter when he first came into the league. There's all kinds of things that didn't make him, that he knew he wasn't perfect. He wasn't the tallest guy most of the time, wasn't the strongest or biggest or fastest, but he outpracticed people. And because of that, he saw lanes and he saw opportunities and openings that other people did not see. And he would attack them. Like, he would go at them because he had confidence. So when he would see an opening, that most people would never even try to go into, he would drive it to the hole, when most people would always step back and take a jumper, and percentages of jumpers fail versus percentages of people going to the hole would win. And that's why Michael Jordan became the most successful basketball player of all times, is because he wasn't trying to be perfect. He was trying to be the best. And there's a difference. Perfect is when you make a mistake, you beat yourself up over it because you're not perfect, right? So now you're starting to self-doubt, so on and so on. So all of these things build on top of each other. And that's what it means. There's no one thing. Like, you have to work on all of these things to build yourself up. All right, moving along here. So, number 6, successful people have mastered the subtle art of saying no. Boy, I struggled with that for a long time. Somebody would call him on a Saturday afternoon when I hadn't had any sleep, and I'm about to sleep in, and they say, hey man, can you help me move? All right, okay. Now, if you call me on a Saturday afternoon and we haven't squared this out, I'm not helping you move. Like, it's just not, find somebody else. I'm not saying I wouldn't, but yeah, I just said I wouldn't. I'm not. Don't call me on a Saturday afternoon to help you move. But successful, they mastered the subtle art, because what happens is people ask people things that will take them out of their comfort zone, take them out of their highly focused state that makes them winners. So winners get into their own flow. They get into their own focus. Actually, I count myself as a winner. I get into a focus. We stay in a focus, and we get into our own flow, and we stay in our flow. We create our own flow. And to do that, and what happens though is when people ask you to do things that takes you out of it. It's not that you have to say no to everything. Obviously, if it works for you, great. But winners, a lot of people struggle to say no to people. Like, you get that good guy syndrome, and you want to just say yes to everybody. You want to please everybody. Well, I believe mastering the subtle art of saying no is also recognizing that you're not out there to please everybody else. You're highly focused on whatever the task that it is, or whatever the goal it is that you're trying to crush. And that's part of the winning mindset. So then we got number 7. Like I said, successful people are focused, right? They stay focused. It's time to give up multitasking. So I'm a bit of a multitasker for some things, and other things when this is probably the one that I need to work on the most, because I am definitely a multitasker, and I'm a procrastinator. I'm a good procrastinator, meaning that I can get a lot done in a short amount of time. I try to be prepared. I do as much preparation as I can, but I could do way more. And successful people are highly focused. If you look at the winning football players, they are not partying in the off season. They might go to 1 or 2 yacht parties or something like that and go on vacation for 2 to 3 weeks in the off season. And then they're right back training or resting. Get your boy Tom Brady. That's what he does. He doesn't take a long vacation season. He pretty much spends a month, unless he plans on retiring. We'll see. I think if you want to know if Tom Brady's going to retire or not, see how he takes his vacations. But anyway, successful people are highly focused people. They stay focused on their goals. They stay focused on not just their goals, but the metrics that lead up to their goals. So if you set a goal for the end of the month, well, then you need to be tracking that day to day. That's keeping your focus. Like, what can I do today to achieve my goal that I have for the end of this month? What can I do tomorrow to achieve that? And staying focused on a daily is all about focusing on the data and the metrics of your performance. And that's what goes back up to number 4, is being accountable. So here we go. Last one. Number 8. Healthy body, healthy mind. Right? So success does not necessarily, we're not just talking about athletes. Success is also successful business people, successful spiritual people, successful pastors, successful singers, so on and so on. If you're a singer, you've got to take care of your voice, right? If you're a pastor, then you've got to be rested, at 8 a.m. to give your sermon at 8:15, right? So, and if you're, Tom Brady, then you've got to be rested to be able to get back in. Not just rested, but you got to be like a well-oiled machine. You've got to be iced down and have your legs under. I was listening to a running back who trains Monday through Thursday to play on Sunday and Monday, but he starts running from the week before and works his way down. So he's basically resting by Thursday evening to make sure that his body is well rested for game day, even though he works out like a beast early in the week. And so like healthy body, healthy mind for whatever it is that you're doing. If you're a stock trader, same thing. Stocks go out. You got to be there at 6 a.m. By 6:05, things are already starting to flow. And if you were up all night partying, so to be successful at what you're doing, you have to make sure that you're doing the maintenance for your body and your mind and your spirit. And that includes diet, sleep, and exercise. A lot of things that people overlook, like we all know how eating the wrong foods are going to make you feel cruddy throughout the day. All the top athletes eat premium food, not just premium food, but they eat food that is designed to give them fuel and energy to burn. Like they selectively eat versus just eat whatever's in front of them, or the first thing on the menu, or what sounds good to them. It's not what top athletes do. But it's the same thing as if you go in. I bet you if I were to go into Wall Street and sit down at a trader desk, I bet you the top guys are not just chugging Red Bulls left and right. I bet you they are doing macro diets and drinking green juices and spirulina, and I bet you they do everything they possibly can. These guys are trading billions of dollars a day. They want every advantage they can get. I mentioned it earlier in the show about getting rid of electronic devices before going to bed. I got to tell you, so these things are emitting all kinds of information through radio waves. There's actually a light beam that comes out of here that we can't see. It's infrared, but there's a light coming out of your phone that you actually can see, and you're capable. Your brain just does not register those waves, but your eyes can see infrared. And listen, people, if your third eye's open, then, I sometimes can hear text messages before I get the text message, and things of that nature. Now, I've noticed in looking at my sleep patterns over the last couple weeks, I wake up more in the middle of the night if I keep my phone in the bed with me. And it irritates me. Sometimes I'll pick it up, move it, or feel it move around, or not feel it move it around, but I will feel for it to move it around, or it'll wind up underneath me or something like that. And I have recognized that disrupts my sleep patterns very much. But there's another thing, even not just the radio waves affecting us while the phone's there, but there's something that happens before we go to bed. And it's blue light. These phones emit a lot of blue light, and there have been studies shown that the blue light keeps us from falling asleep. So if you find that you've got trouble, if you've been on Facebook and then you're trying to go to bed 5 minutes later, your brain is in an active state because of that blue light. So it doesn't matter if you have an Android phone or an iPhone. There is a tool now that you can turn off the lower the blue light on your phone in your settings. And, so if you're one of those people who have to have their phone, use it for an alarm or something like that, or you have to have it in your sleeping area, I highly recommend all the way up to it. A lot of people say a half hour, but I would say even an hour before you're ready to go to bed. You can even set this to do this. Like if you're a person who goes to bed at the same time every day, you can set your phone to lower its blue light effect on a timer so you don't even have to think about it. It'll make a huge difference in your rest cycle. It'll make a difference on how easily you're able to fall asleep. There have been tons of signs. This is why they added these things to these phones, is because people started to recognize this was really wrecking our sleep patterns. And Kara says, so what is a good color light to fall asleep to? Red. So red is okay. It's real. It's just the blue light that really is. So I'm a big believer in no lights at all, like lights out, like all the light, kill all the ambient light. But I do like to wake up to the sunlight. So I have black curtains with white shades underneath and white sheer curtains. And so what I like to do is I like to keep my blinds closed, and I open the curtains so they crack a little bit, so that way in the morning I can tell when the sun comes up. And I just tend to wake up better when there's a little bit of sunlight in the room, but I kill all ambient light when I go to bed. All lights off, all TVs off, all computer screens off. So if you have a computer in your room with the fan going, I turn that off. I try to turn all electronics off, and I try to put my phone across the room so I'm not disturbed by it. Same thing with my iPad. I try to make sure they're either off or away from me. But if I believe amber light is one of the things that helps people, and not red, but like kind of a yellowish hue. I don't want to say it helps, but it makes people go to sleep, but it's probably closer to help you get drowsy, Kara, than a blue light does. But blue light triggers something in your brain that makes it want to stay active. And that's like, it really messes with your sleep cycles, and, makes it harder for your body to get in a REM state. If you've been looking at blue light, it takes like an hour or two to dissipate that from your mind and your body. So yeah, it's a big deal. Get the phones away from you. I have, where I can flip my phone and put it upside down, and it'll put it in a do not disturb state. And if it's face up, then I can get notifications and things. So I always make sure that my phone's face down. I know a lot of people will text me and they're like, oh, I texted you, but I didn't hear you back from you. Well, guess what? I have it set so I don't get messages at certain times of the day and the certain times of the hour. So I apologize I don't get back to you, but I'll get back to you the next day. So that's just how I've decided to live my life, so I can function and stay focused on the things that I want to stay focused on. It's not that I want to avoid people. It's just I have times that I'm in contact with people, and my life works better because of that. And I feel that I'm capable of achieving my goals better because of the focus that by blocking out distractions. Another thing that I do is I don't have any notifications on my phone. There's no little red dots for notifications. I don't get text messages on my screen. If I want to look at text messages, I have to check my drawer and see if I have notifications. And that, so they're not constantly bombarding me. And when I go in here, look, there's no notifications on my screen. So there's no red dots. There's no, I have 37,000 emails, and at least 37. Here, let me tell you exactly how many emails I have in here. 51,255 emails, but I don't have a red dot here distracting me saying, oh my God, I got to check those. There's no red dots for Facebook. I turned all those notifications off. I don't get banners. I don't get pop-ups. I don't get anything on my phone. It's a brick until I want to use it. It's a tool. So that's one of the things that allows me to stay very focused and get a lot of things done. I watch other people constantly looking at their watch, because we have smartwatches now, so we're getting all these notifications. So if you have all those notifications on and you have a smartwatch, guess what? Constantly. No, I can't do that. So I turned all those off, and I still get text messages. I just don't get the notifications from them. I get a little buzz, and if I don't get to it, I don't get to it. And then when I have the time to look at text messages, I do. I check my email, not when I first wake up and not when I first get to work. It takes me it's probably an hour after I've got into my routine before I check my emails. I also don't, when I was a coffee drinker, after doing some studies, it's just some tips that I want to throw you guys that you guys can use is drinking coffee first thing in the morning actually helps you crash. Actually, if you can, I know telling somebody to wait 2 hours before they have their first cup of coffee is probably pretty bonkers. But if you can wait 45 minutes to an hour before you have your first cup, you'll feel better throughout the day than immediately having it, because you're going to crash. It's more prone to make you crash. I know. Who wants to wait to have that first cup of coffee? And then, there's a whole bunch of reasons why people drink coffee in the morning. Some people need to have a cup of coffee to have a bowel movement. And people like to have a BM before they go to work. I get it. So, breaking up some of these routines is probably impossible for a lot of people. They're probably not willing to make some of the sacrifices that are necessary. But if you can figure out how to make everything else swing and work together, scientifically, it's better. You will have more energy throughout the day evenly if you can wait 2 hours from the time that so say you wake up at 8 o'clock. If you can wait till 10 o'clock to have your first cup of coffee, it will be more beneficial and give you a longer, stronger boost energy wise than drinking it immediately. Sure, you're going to feel great immediately, but you weren't feeling bad already. You might still been groggy from the next day, but so I know that's what science says. I don't know if I agree with it or if I could ever do it myself, but scientifically they say that does work better. So let me know, what do you guys think of the game? Did your team win? So neither one of my teams were in the Super Bowl. I lived in Florida for 9 years, and I was a Tom Brady fan, so I was kind of cheering for the Bucs. But again, I did like that guy Patrick Mahomes. I thought he was been an amazing quarterback and stellar for the league and for minorities, and he's just a cool guy. And being so young, love him. Look forward to him, being the face of the league. Moving forward for sure. But Tom Brady, man, bruh, good job. He's the GOAT. 7. That's a lot of fingers, bro. How many rings? I mean, really, that's this many rings because you ain't wearing it on your thumb. That's crazy. That's bonkers. That's 7 rings, bro. Have you ever seen a Super Bowl ring? They're huge. Good for him. Good for him. I mean, whatever. I know a lot of people don't like Tom Brady, but it's easy to hate on the guy who's at the top. People hated Mike Tyson. People hated Muhammad Ali. Every time somebody's been at the people hate on Venus Williams, Tiger Woods. Look, bro, he's the most winningest football player of all times, period. You can't argue anymore. I don't care what you say. He's the GOAT. The argument's always going to be, GOAT. Shut up. Period. You won in squares. Sweet. Good. I'm glad you had fun. I enjoyed the game. Listen, I have not watched a single football game all season, but I watched the Super Bowl. And, Super Bowl is a tough day for me. It's an anniversary. My daughter's accident, 13 years ago. So it's just, it's bittersweet for me sometimes. I watched it by myself, quarantined. I didn't do any snacks because I ate pizza and wings yesterday because of the snow. I didn't think I was going to be able to order in time, or go get them. And I wasn't making anything just for myself. So, made myself a little small meal and enjoyed it. And it was what it was. I'm happy. I'm content. I'm glad to have been back here to done the show and talk with you guys and connect with you guys. Just want to check out, let's see here. I got some new merch. Just want to show you guys that. Also, if you guys hadn't heard, that I launched a paper this week or last week, which is called it's Awake and Aware, but it's awkawr.com. It's a daily paper that is curated by moi. That basically it's conscious content. I like to call it COCO, right? Like it's I'm in love with that cocoa, right? Cocoa for conscious content. Basically, what I do is I look around on the internet. I have an algorithm that looks for certain words and keywords, and then I go out and I curate other content that I think you guys might like. Stuff that has to do with meditation, wellness, health, success, life hacks, all the good stuff that we talk about on here. Astrology, numerology, any of that kind of stuff. Good food, exercises, routines, just stuff to make you guys badass people to be successful at life, right? And how to adopt your own winning mindset. And so it comes out daily. So make sure you go there and just subscribe. Like, take a look at the articles, man. Like, I had all the Super Bowl commercials listed in there before they were even on the Super Bowl today. So you could have watched all the Super Bowl commercials without having to watch the Super Bowl if you had just gone to awakenaware.com. AWKAWR. Also, awakenaware.com, AWKENAWERE, or AWARE, yeah, .com, awakenaware.com, our main site. We have merchandise, and I just dropped one of these this past week, which was these really cool shirts right here, which are, well, let's see, hey, let me see if we can help you guys see this. All right, so it's just a face. So it's a new moon shirt that I got, or actually I designed, and it's just the different phases of the moon. So if you're a lunatic like me, I'll be getting mine pretty soon. And yeah, it's an ultra premium shirt. It is soft. It's really, really soft, and it's a unisex shirt, so it looks good on guys and women. So like if females wear it, it looks like that boyfriend shirt. Like it's a boyfriend cut shirt. I think is what they call it. So it's just a really good shirt, and you know the stuff lasts on it. You can wash it as many times as you want. And they're super, super comfortable. So pick you one up. And that's available at awakenaware.com, as well as you can find it at facebook.com/awakenaware.inc. That's the business page. So if you're watching the show, you know where to find it. And this show will be available on YouTube shortly, and it'll also be available in podcasts. So if you missed the show and wanted to catch us, or missed any part of it and you wanted to just catch back up and get all 8 of the winning mindset attributes, you can listen on podcasts. You can find us at buzzsprout.com, or excuse me, awakenaware.buzzsprout.com, or you can find us on Apple, Deezer, Spotify, Google. We're pretty much on all the top podcast sites, so you can pretty much find us anywhere. We are Awake and Aware Inc., and we're Awake and Aware Inc. on Instagram. So now that I've plugged all my stuff, appreciate that, and I appreciate you guys really joining me and taking part in the show and chiming in. It's a good game. And so I'm gonna close out the show. We started the show a little bit late because I knew I was not gonna be able to compete with the Super Bowl, not Tom Brady playing Patrick Mahomes tonight. So I look forward to seeing you guys again next week at a regular time, 8:30. And I might actually be out of the studio and might plan on traveling a little bit this week. And so might see you somewhere else with a guest host, but we're trying to lock it in. Weather's been had an effect on a lot of things lately. Same thing with COVID and travel restrictions, but it's been a wonderful night. Thanks for joining me. I'm up.